Well, good evening. It's 7 o'clock Wednesday night. Time to zoom into wine. My name is Ian Blackburn. Thanks for joining me. Happy holidays, everybody. Hope you're getting ready for a big one. This is a nice Thanksgiving prep session, talking about two grapes, two wines that will go really well with your holiday feasts. And I hope you guys have good plans for that, or a good restaurant nearby that will take good care of you. Um, and let's get right into it. We're going to be talking about Burgundy tonight. It's one of my favorite topics. I want to super implant in your brains that sometime in the future of my life, I am living in Burgundy. I want to retire there. I just love the pace. I love the cool weather. I like the rain. I'm Welsh, not supposed to be in the sun. But I really enjoy Burgundy. I've been there many, many times. I used to work for Louis Jadot, and I've had just a really amazing set of experiences in the Burgundy region and hope to have many, many more. And we're going to talk about the wines tonight. We are on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, recording this session. So if you want to watch it later or share it with a friend, please do. There's a chat box that's for you guys to, let's talk about the wines. Let's ask some geeky questions. This is yours. You could even come right out and talk to me as one of the participants here. I've got the bottles, I've got the slideshow, and a lot of passion for these wines. I picked them. And so these are prime examples of Burgundy AOCs, um, and just Burgundy in general. We were going to start off with a Chablis wine that we basically sold out of. So I moved the first wine to a Bourgogne, but it's from Samuel Bilad, who is a phenomenal Chablis producer. And this wine came into my life last year, and I tasted it, thought it was an incredible quality value from a really top producer. This guy's Chablis wines sell for a nice plus plus because he is a very high quality producer. And so he's taken some Burgundy fruit from the south of Burgundy and combined it with some Chablis, which you're allowed to do if you're going to label the wine Bourgogne. So it's Bourgogne d'Or, and let's take a look. Here's a couple of there's Chablis. So Chablis is kind of a satellite of Burgundy, but this time he's using Mâconnais and Chablis together. Not many people are doing that, but it's very reasonable, especially for the category, especially for the price. We'll get to that in a minute. But the Bellade property, the winemaking facility, optimal, high quality, small production, making very high scoring wines. Chablis is a very unique zone. It is 100% Chardonnay in Chablis. And down in the Mâconnais, wines like Pouilly-Fuissé come from the Mâcon, and the Mâcon's one of the most up and coming superstars of Burgundy right now. So you combine two very almost like north versus south type of polarity here with different types of soils, tension. You got that really crispy Chablis type of style with a warmer subzone in Mâconnais. And so the two kind of come together in our glass here tonight. So it's a 2022 vintage. Vintage means a lot in Burgundy. The first thing, though, is the name of the producer. When you're buying wines from France, that producer name, I don't care what vintage you're going to buy, the producer is the most important thing. And his name is recognizable with great quality, and the vintage is solid. 2022 is excellent. 2022 and 2020 are very, very much warm vintages. 21 was kind of a cold, um, wet vintage and had a lot of pressures on it. Made some great wines in 2021, just not very much of it. 2020 and 2022. Very good quality, but pretty ripe and pretty dry, kind of drought-like. So here, this grape variety that we're tasting is Chardonnay. So this is kind of the topical note. So I'll talk about this slide one time here, and we'll probably show it in every wine because we break out each wine and populate the website with little sublet videos, teaching people about the wine that they're about to buy, about to taste. And so here we've got the Chardonnay grape variety, which is something that wasn't one of the original grape varieties. It was discovered and brought to Burgundy and now propagates Burgundy. The laws kind of shape that if you're going to call it Burgundy, it needs to be Chardonnay. There are some other grape varieties in the Burgundy region that are there, but not really talked about. Grape varieties like Pinot Blanc, but they're when we talk about Burgundy in general, and it's a white wine. If we're going to call it Burgundy, it's going to be made from Chardonnay. Um, Typically does not make wines for long aging besides Chablis. Well, I would say besides all of Burgundy. And when you start to talk about wines at a premium price point, though, that's when the wines are made for long aging. The more you pay, the longer you can and probably should wait to drink them. Makes dry white wines. Yes, in Burgundy, dry means absence of sugar, but a lot of people also note how drying the wines can be because of their incredible long tails of acidity. That makes the wine kind of dry out your palate in a slow, prolonged fashion. And some people think that that's when they describe the wine as dry. And that's not necessarily correct. Dry means absence of sugar, but it is absolutely a complement to the acidity here. Chardonnay is adaptable, absolutely showing resilience in various regions. And we do really, Chardonnay really does show off the place that it comes from. But there is a lot of winemaking done in Chardonnay, and we're going to taste a wide spectrum today. What I mean by that is that you could make a wine like Chardonnay in a stainless steel tank, very crispy, pick it early, not do much to it, put it in a bottle, zero oak, unoaked, and you've got something very linear, very pure, very focused. Or you could start to leave it on the lees. Those are the solids that the fermentation creates. You might even stir those lees into the wine, further enriching the wine. You put it in the wood barrel, it starts to evaporate, it starts to change color. From oxidation, not from the color of the wood, from the oxygen kissing it. And evaporation increases concentration, increases um, complexity. You've got a lot of things that can happen with time in wood. You get that mouthfeel, you get that nose. There are different philosophies that go into winemaking, and these are the little kind of like if you're a DJ and you have little knobs to turn to change the volume or the tone or the bass or the tempo. These are the things that a winemaker can do. And what I'm saying is Chardonnay has a full suite of options, whereas a lot of grape varieties, you can't mess around with them too much. You got to keep them really sharp. And so Chardonnay kind of gives you a full spectrum. Chablis is one of France's coolest wine regions, so that is true, and it is also one of the most unique because it has as predominance of what's called Cameridian soil, which are fossils, oyster shells, and you can see them everywhere in the soils of Chablis. By the time you get down to the Mancon, you've got limestone and rocky, loamy soil, and hills everywhere. So the very different types of growing environments in those two, but they're both perfectly suitable for Chardonnay. Now, Balade makes some very high-end Chablis and does use these larger wood barrel. The large wood, as opposed to the small wood, gives a large amount of volume per oak barrel, which slows down the advancement, slows down the oxidation. And after several vintages of using these large wood barrels, they impart less and less wood, but more they're used more for aging and for a slowing down of that process, and a little bit of oxidation, obviously, but not the wood impartation into the wine. They are really my favorite vessel for making. When I see large barrels, I know they're not in a hurry, and I know that they're, very serious about showing off the purity of the fruit, the purity of the place, the typicity of the soil, and not covering it up with or masking it over with wood tonality. Now, those barrels, those expensive barrels, are typically used for some pretty high-end Chablis. This wine does see a little bit of wood on it. Um, And so let's taste it now. We'll get it in our glass. I'm at 33.95, and that's like a nice Chablis from a lesser producer. That's what you're going to pay for an AOC Chablis today. Um, Samuel Blood AOC Chablis would be over $50. His Premier Cruise will be $75. His Grand Cru or more, and his Grand Cru is over 125, maybe $150. So that's kind of where they go. So this represents like a wow value. I didn't know he made wine at that price point type of a thing, and that's why I was kind of eager to bring this in. I'm using my Burgundian ball glass, which is made perfect for Chardonnay and Pinot Noir for tonight. Just smell that wine. That this has this is why I love Burgundy so much. The first thing I smell is like that wet stone. There's kind of a confluence of different minerals, stoniness, chalkiness. The fruit is on the floral side, green apple, very crispy pear. The wood is just there to kind of give it uh, kind of lift. It doesn't enter the frame, and you can maybe see just a little bit of that 3 years of bottle and wood age starting to appear in the color here. Very fresh. I think this wine, you could buy this right now and drink it for the next 3 to 4 years and be really happy every year. It won't even fall off, and it might even go further. This is just super high, good quality winemaking, and I can smell the turkey gravy. I make a celery salad to go with my turkey, and I love that little crunchy there with some herb stuffing. Some people might like a little fatter rendition. This has got that firmness to it. I'm just telling you right now, I think at $34, this wine is a no-brainer, delicious, hard to beat little bottle for the table. It doesn't, for some people, $35 a bottle is a big throw. But for those that like drinking Burgundy, this is a bargain. And I hope you agree and enjoy the way it's presenting itself. I personally love it. I want to go into the audience and get some reaction. How's everybody feeling about that? Did you like it, Thomas? I'm thinking that's in your lane.
How did you guess?
Come
It does taste like a mini Chablis to me. I'd actually be really anxious to taste his other Chablis, or the Chablis in his line. That was quite good. I'm sitting here with family and a little bit of a mixed view of it. So we'll see how we go through the Chardonnay. Some liked it, some didn't. So there you go. But it
those
was
that
right,
didn't
right
like
in
it,
there.
was it not round and creamy and oaky and buttery enough? Is that what you were missing? Because, that is what you when you pull that away from Chardonnay, that's Chablis. Chablis is about minerality, tension, crisp, tight, and then you can really get specific with some of the foods. I think the best possible opportunities to pair a wine like this would be with something equivalent to sushi, or my favorite would be like I take day boat scallops and I slice them thin. I put them on a plate with some lemon juice, salt and pepper, olive oil. Eat it like with some toasted, crunchy bread, and eat it like a crudo, like a carpaccio of scallop.
When are you coming over to cook?
Hey, I'm for hire, buddy. I'm for hire.
I'll see if I have a Dodgers hat here, Ian, just
Oh,
to make you feel better.
I got two or three. I can bring
I'm
you
sure you
one.
do. Yeah, you can bring one for everybody. All right, that sounds good.
So
I
filled with oysters.
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah,
do like this.
oysters with Chablis are like a mandatory,
You
right?
bet. Yeah.
I
Brian,
like this. I like this overall style, as far as it just has a smoothness to it. It's crisp. It has a smoothness to it. Um, nothing. There's nothing that is. There's no excessive acid. I mean, it's just a real. This is real drinkable.
yeah,
And again, at $34.
yeah,
Um, it's as compared to, let's say, compared to like a Rombauer, and
yeah.
it's a
Right,
whole
which
different.
is about the same price, right?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, Ron Bauer has its fans, and there are people that would prefer the Rombauer because of its style, which is heavily dictated by heavy winemaking practices. Whereas this is very hands off, letting you smell and taste the place. And I'm gonna say something, you know, that's kind of typical and maybe obvious, but if you're growing up in Europe, this is like the expected way Chardonnay should taste. But if you grew up in California, you're going to probably prefer Rombauer as a rounder, creamier presentation of our sunshine, and that's okay. I think for me, wine is about having choices and options, and if I had to drink the same wine every day, I would not like wine. It's just that way. I love the fact that everything's a little different. And I literally could have thrown any three white wines together from our Burgundy section and put this tasting together, and I would have loved it. Everything
so
that makes my wife.
that gets back to one of my other little questions here. Of You had mentioned $125 Chardonnay or
Yeah,
Chablis.
yeah.
How much of that is duty? I mean, as compared to, let's say, California pricing, $34 California pricing, $34 French. How much
Well,
is duty?
honestly, the biggest numbers behind the French wines are probably the fact that it's got an importer taking a piece, a distributor taking a piece, and maybe it's an importer selling it to a brand company that's selling it to a distributor. There could be three margins involved. Now, actually, in California, our wines are by bottle tend to be more expensive than the French wines. Uh, they sell from their cellar at a very low price to that first tranche. The negotiant or the person who's buying that wine for export, they take that and sell it at maybe, let's say, I'm going to give you a number that I think probably this wine sold for about €12, and then the
Right.
distributor paid or bought it for 12, or imported, I'm sorry, the importer bought it for, exporter bought it for 12, sold it to a distributor for about 18, and then I get to buy it somewhere in the low 20s. Everybody's making about
Okay.
25 to 30%. And that's what a retail shop like me, I make between
Sure.
25 and 30 points on a bottle of wine like this. Not no one's getting rich off any one bottle of wine. But what we all hope for in the wine retail world is that you buy six and then it makes sense. And that's kind of the wine shop model. And so California winery would have laid in costs that are much higher, cost of land, cost of labor, cost of taxes, cost of insurance, all that stuff. And you might start a bottle of Chardonnay at a cost of $18, selling it to a distributor who's then going to turn around and sell it for close to 28, and it'll end up over $40 in a
Yeah.
store.
All right. Correct. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just no, again, that was meant as comparing price points
Hmm.
between countries.
Yeah,
So,
100%. And I just think dollar for dollar, you, especially on the lower end of the spectrum, there's much more value in the imports because they
mm,
work with lower costs generally. That probably the families own the land. Um, Labor costs are typically a little lower, depending on which country we're talking about, and the way the export markets work. These guys in Burgundy, by the way, they make their wine, they bottle it, and the day they bottle it, it's pretty much all sold. And they keep that price pretty sharp so that it's that way because you can't
mm,
visit their winery and buy their wine. It's just not the way the business moves over there. They sell it to the export markets, and they have to keep that price pretty sharp to be able to get it all the way down the line and have it
mm,
sell through. So
good.
there's always a lot of value there. All right, we're going to move into wine number dos. And while we're talking about Burgundy, one of the great exceptions in Burgundy is a grape called Aligoté. When I grew up, Aligoté was at the bar because if somebody ordered a kir, which would be cassis and Aligoté blended together, that's when you pulled out the Aligoté. That drink was like big in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Probably 99% of the restaurants don't offer that drink anymore. And Aligoté has grown up. In fact, over time, Aligoté, they figured out Aligoté, and the Burgundians did. You're going to see Aligoté now planted in places like Santa Rita Hills and in Oregon. I'm seeing it planted. Not because people are going to go crazy for Aligoté, but because you can make something very distinctive and very beautiful with this grape variety. And nobody believes that more than Domaine de Villaine. Who is de Villaine? Well, they own a brand called Domaine Romanicanti, and the couple that owns that property live at this estate in Bouzeron. The Bouzeron is the name of the town, and it is south in the Mâconnais, the Côte de Chalonnet. Sorry, there's Côte de Chalonnet, there's the Côte d'Or, there's the Mâcon. Okay, and so Chalonnet is here, and Bouzeron is somewhere about there. Now, I have an incredible memory of what we experienced as we brought a group to Burgundy several years ago. We are in a little bus. There's probably 12 of us, and I was a lot younger. I was single, and everybody on the bus was young and single. We were having a blast. we were staying in Bone, and we'd go out to the wine bars at night, and we would not get back to the hotels until the wine bars kicked us out. We pull up at Domaine de Villaine, and there are the owners of Domaine Romaniconti to receive us. And Mr. de Villaine, very distinguished gentleman, operates DRC, and his wife, Pamela. Now, Pamela gives us the tour. Pamela is from Pasadena. She's the little old lady from Pasadena. And she gave us this absolutely delightful visit and brought us back to her husband, who shared with us some stories and tasted with us through the wines and taught us what is happening with this grape. They have decided to focus their energies on elevating the grape of Aligote. It is a particular species of Aligote called the golden Aligote, and they grow it in Bouzeron, and it's all a little estate. And I left this picture in here because this is exactly what it looks and feels like in in Bouzeron. There's literally hills and vineyards and not much else. Not very many people. Lots of vineyards that just kind of go as far as the eye can see. So this is 100% Aligote, and I want to make sure your palates are ready. And those that didn't like wine number one, I'm going to be curious to see if you like number two.
The vote here, Ian, is those who didn't like wine number one do like wine number two. Just to let you know. Yeah, you're right on.
Awesome. Well, there's a lot to like about this one. I mean, they've got incredible resources, right? And they wouldn't be wasting their time if they didn't know they were right. And they, are making it as good as you can make it. There's some special little touches here, fresh notes and aromas associated with the linden and white flowers. So that's a key distinction in the nose. The palate has rich fruit as well as the mineral um, core, a bitter touch on the finish, showcasing the wine's salinity and making extra sips desirable. Okay, so it's tasty and great to enjoy now, to experience the delicacy of the fruit, but ages for 3 to 5 years. This is not a wine that I'm going to tell you to lay down for more. I think you should drink this within 7 years of the birth date. This is I could be blown away, and people tell me, "Oh no, Bouzeron is used so well," but I do think the freshness is what they're focused on here, and maybe it will be a wine for aging in the future. But this particular rendition really pops. You don't have to hold this at all. You don't have to age it at all. The fruit is beautiful. Um, I actually tasted some off of the vine. It's a nice tasting table grape as well. Another picture, just kind of if you're on the wrong side of where the sunshine goes, you don't have vineyards. You grow grains, grasses, and other things that they can monetize from the land. 54.95. The Devillain family make a nice wine. It's a very fair price for a pedigree example of this quality. There are aligotes that you can buy between $20 and $30 that come from brands that no one's ever heard of before. But if you're going to put the best family in the Burgundy business's name on the label, they're going to get a little bit more money for it. And I think it's worth it. It sells through at a pretty good clip. But probably the next time we order it, it'll be 23 vintage, and 24s won't be released till probably end of 26. Let's
Hey,
see
Ian,
let's see what else you think. Peter.
Hey, Jan, how are you doing?
Good, Peter. How are you?
So, awesome. So, I mean, I love this. I've always loved David Lane's Who's Wrong. I remember being introduced to it probably 15 years ago through Kermit Lynch. And I
Yep.
was just shocked about that you could get anything that Aubert had touched with his hands for back then. I think it was like $28, $29.
Yeah.
And it's a staple. It's one of those, Rebecca and I, we always have this in our wine cellar. And it's just like, I totally support you. It's a heck of a great deal.
It's man, this would be a crowd pleaser at Thanksgiving as well, right? That that little bit of charm. For that first wine had that crunchy long tail of acidity, and this one's got a little bit of that creaminess and roundness, but just the right amount. It's not trying to be batard. It's not trying to be anything else. It's just really a pretty, perfectly balanced wine that will go so well with nice cuisine. And man, that would be a home run with turkey right there. And Peter, I'm so happy you like it. It certainly has gone up in price a little bit. I've watched it slowly rise. It's been in the top 100 wines in the world a couple of times. Um, and it's not a secret anymore. This wine is pretty well out there, and it is still represented by Kermit Lynch. And yeah, I mean, the most collected, most elevated wines in the world are the DRC wines. Um, and so when you're connected to it and you're able to taste something from that family for this price, it's kind of like a really affordable luxury.
Also, I want to say hello, Peter.
Hi, Peter. Peter's such a great man.
Hey, guy.
Yes, yes. It's Brian Gillespie.
Brian is a wine warrior.
Well, Peter's been at my house.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Small world.
He's yeah, with a bunch of ladies on his lap.
We can't play
Don't tell me. Hey,
that.
Rebecca's right here.
Well, no, it was all in good fun.
All right. Well, I'm glad you guys are pals. Let's go into wine number 3. Now, we're about to taste. This might be another Kermit Lynch wine. It is. Um, I don't think about it by who I buy the wine from, but I do buy quite a bit of I mean, Kermit Lynch is French wine, and so I have a lot of representation from him in our store. And Domaine Leroux is a benchmark producer, especially for Saint-Aubin. Saint-Aubin has kind of always been the stepchild to Puigny Montrachet, sometimes called the poor man's Puigny Montrachet, Saint-Aubin. But Burgundy's grown up so much since that type of stuff was being said, and the wines are so good and so sought after. And Domaine Leroux is a really solid producer. Now we are tasting an AOC example, and you can see where Chasson is right there, Puini is right there, Merceau is right there, and Saint-Aubin is right there, right there. Okay, now look how close they are. Chasson, Puini, Merceau, Saint-Aubin. I mean, it's like saying Santa Monica. That might be Brentwood. That might be Malibu. That might be Venice Beach. That's about the size of it. Founded in 1946. Think about that time, right after World War II. predominant limestone soils, which is key. Also, what kind of makes Santabon different is that it's kind of back behind the slope and it's kind of tucked. It's kind of there's a name for it. I can't remember the word, but it's kind of a little gully type of a shape in the back. And so it's hidden. It's a little hidden gem. 42 acres of vines owned by this producer, which is a chunk for a Burgundy producer that a lot of people don't know the name of, but they make a good amount of Saint-Sabon for the world. That's what I'm talking about right there. See how the hills just kind of trap these little slopes? They kind of jettison north. I'm sorry, I say the direction is going straight east of Meursault, and you just kind of go back beyond Poigny into the top, and stretches out. It's like a little finger. 100% Chardonnay, does see time in wood. It is made like a Puny Montrachet, 100% oak barrel fermentation, stirred on the lees. You're going to have the lemon butterscotch nectarine with warm, nutty notes on the finish. Lovely soft mouthfeel with acidity, but it's going to have even more creaminess. So we started off with sharp and snappy. We headed into a little bit creamy, and now we're heading into a bigger, richer wine. But this is where it's kind of the great pretender because you're getting a lot of Chardonnay here with a beautiful sense of place that's connected to what has been referred to as like the Côte de Blancs, the white wine zone of Burgundy at $50. And a Puini Montrachet would start probably in the 75 range. And if you're talking about a great producer of merit, they don't start until you're at the $125 range. And the Premier Crues are selling somewhere in the 125 to 100 and maybe $200 a bottle. Couple producers get more than that, and the Grand Cru wines of Puini are selling for north of $500. And you know, DRC's Montrachet sets the tone at $10,000 a bottle. This is not trying to be $10,000 a bottle. This is just a nice, balanced, earnest effort from Saint-Sabon. It's got good polish to it. Is it the greatest wine of Burgundy? No, but it's a solid, sensible, very dependable, very good value. Oh, I hope you enjoyed it. We love putting these Zooms together, and there's a couple conversations I want to have, especially with you guys, because you are on the Zoom here tonight, are our Zoom elite, some of my favorite folks on the Zoom tonight. So thank you all for the years of support. Some of you guys have been with us for years. And I can't believe we've been doing this now for 5 years. It's pretty crazy. And so, you know, we want to be sensitive to what people want, what people need, and also, you know, keep our business strong. These Zooms help us out a lot. They keep us connected to you, and we want to be top of mind. But maybe the number of times, the number of Zooms that I'm doing is pushing us pretty hard, and we're not able to put as much into the production as maybe we once were. You know, getting the winemakers on board takes time. video editing and cost and stuff like that. So a lot of that I have had to be very careful about. So next year we're going to take a slightly different approach, and I'm going to talk to you about that a little bit more in a second. But mm, I'm about to get on an airplane tomorrow and go on a beautiful trip with my wife. We're going to head to Alsace. We're going to stop on our way to through London and head to a place called the Cotswolds and relax. And this is really her vacation. She has worked super hard for years, and we're doing a lot of things that she wants to do. She loves to plan trips. And so we've got appointments in Alsace. We're going to be sitting with Anne Trimbach and Jean Hugel and the young Humbrecht. And we've got some just amazing appointments in Alsace. And so I get a couple of weeks here to enjoy time with my wife. And yet I'll be on email almost every day running the store remotely. So keeping a balance. But next, when I come back, the next Zoom we're going to do is one of the most well attended Zooms of the year. And this is our Barolo versus Brunello Zoom. We take three Barolo, three Brunello. We we're going to do them blind. We're going to ask you to pick. We're going to have you taste with two glasses and pick which one you think is which, and then which one you prefer. And if look at the wine lineup, they're really great wines, and we go from affordable to insane in the show. We're going to have a large audience, I can tell. We already have very good subscription, and we want to continue that. We love doing this show, and it's a big test for us. So get involved if you like Italian wines. The big B's are coming, and it's just a couple of weeks away. So our final three Zooms of the year are Barolo versus Brunello. And then the week after, I look at my top wines of the year. And there were so many. I had to do two of these. I do one in December, top wines of the year that are basically available now. And then in January, I'm taking the distinction away about price and stuff, and we're showing just the greatest wines of the year, regardless of price. So the January one gets a little pricier because I'm going to be showing uh, kind of my ultimate six. I actually there are some wines that I couldn't figure out which one to put them in. I'm very proud of the wines that we put into the top wines of the year. So check them out. And then on December 31st, our New Year's Eve primer, it's not a champagne challenge, by the way. It is just a champagne presentation. It is the House of Roederer, and we're going to have a guest who I'm going to film the week prior because it's New Year's Eve, and they're going to be in Paris or possibly in Champagne. But I think he said he's going to be working in Paris that night. So we're going to record with a key executive from the House of Roederer and learn all about champagne. And that falls into the fact that next year I'm taking a group to Champagne in October. Our trip to Champagne details came in today. We'll be working on loading that up onto the website by early next week and announcing that trip to the folks that have expressed interest. So if you want to come with me to Champagne, we're going next October, and we have got some really special things that we're putting together. Which leads me to my final, sorry for the length of this commercial, but our 2026 membership drive is starting right now, and here's how it's different this year. Next year, we're going to produce between 2 and 3 Zooms a month. Most months maybe 2, but if we do a third one, it's something special, something extra special. And we're going to kind of take our foot off the gas a little bit just so we can increase the quality and really get some better content. Um, and so here's how we got creative. If you become a merchant of wine, it's now no longer a Zoom into Wine member, it's a merchant of wine membership. You're going to get 10% off all year because you're going to get your own code as a member. So you'll be able to buy wine from our website with 10% off. You'll be able to buy the Zooms with 10% off. There will no longer be a membership price. There'll be one price for the Zooms. If you're a merchant of wine member, you'll get 10% off. And the Zooms are going to be at all different price points. Um, You'll be invited to all of them as a member to view. And if you want to subscribe, or purchase or taste with us, you'll be able to buy the kit with a 10% discount. That's the biggest difference between this year and past, or the coming year and the past years, because it was so focused on just the Zooms. But now we're really wanting to encourage people to think of us as more of a wine shop that has Zooms, and to be able to get 10% off on the wines at any point in time. And that's the only time we're going to have 10% off, by the way. We're going to become less selly. There's not a lot of margin in our store anyway. We are going to continue to work our margins tighter and tighter to become a price leader in what we do. The quality of our wine selection has continued to go up. Um, and we're less about the $10, $12 bottles. We're more about the better wines. And we want to put our emphasis on the shipping value, because we don't have Beverly Hills real estate. We don't have a store you could go to. We're going to continue to deliver for free in Los Angeles. It's $20 for a shipment in California, and it's $40 anywhere in the US, flat rate shipping. There are minimums involved in hitting those levels, but that's how the shipping works. Peter, you have your hand up. Is that because you want to say something? Or was that from earlier?
No, just back to the Saint-Aubin. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, so just got some thoughts about Saint-Aubin. I mean, you mentioned the proximity to Puligny-Morrissey and Meursault, and I just think that this wine is considering its neighbors, it's a heck of a lot of value. It's a great wine. And I've always loved Saint-Aubin and Saint-Romain. You just get a lot of there. You get a little bit further up in the hill, they're a little more stressed, I think. I think it makes them very, very interesting. It's just like when you go just one notch down to Saint-Denis, I think that the Pinots from down there is just a heck of a great value. So you can still find some good values in Burgundy.
100%. Yeah, we get so micro-focused sometimes on the prices of the big wines, but we forget about the harder working wines and how much value they are still representing. This is pretty noble dirt, and there are a lot of California Chardonnays that are selling for a lot more than $50. And so, yeah, this wine is working pretty hard. And this is a pretty great ambassador brand for the world, for this area. They are a benchmark, and Kermit thinks of them as a Saint-Aubin SKU. Like, this is what they do. And he was so happy to find someone who would focus on this area of value and do such a good job. And so that's why you're going to find this wine in so many great wine shops, restaurants, and it's definitely a name to know. Red wine time. When I started learning about Burgundy, this was the first wine I started to buy. It's kind of got that same story as Saint-Aubin. It's not the famous area. It's kind of the harder working neighboring village, Marcinelle. It's got some great neighbors too. And we're tasting it from one of my favorite producers, Joseph Roti. Now we're in the Côte de Nuit. And the tip of the Côte de Nuit, in fact, right next to Gevry-Chambertin, Vin Romanée, Nuit Saint-Georges. Uh, those are the neighbors. And Marcinelle is the place of value. This family goes back to 1710. Let's see, winemakers currently are Philip and Pierre. They're the descendants. It took its name by Joseph Roti, who founded the actual winery in 1960s. But the history here on this land, in this place in Burgundy, goes back to 1710. They're the 11th generation. And remember what Burgundy used to be prior to probably World War II. Prior to World War II, families grew grapes and they sold them to the big brands or to the negociant houses. There weren't 100 or 1,000 or 2,000 brands. They they sold their grapes and others made the wine, bottled it, and sold it. It was too much work. All they did is take care of their land and take care of their families. So you see a lot of the brand innovation during the 1900s. This is a this is what almost all of the Côte de Nuit looks like. You've got the forest in the background at the top of the hill. You've got the slope underneath it. The best vineyards are typically somewhere around, you know, halfway to two-thirds of the way up the slope. And if you're down on the flatland, you could still make some good wine, but you're probably bottling it as Bourgogne. If you're up on the slope and maybe there's a better spot, maybe it's a walled-in spot known as a clos, or they've elevated it to a premier cru. This is 100% Pinot Noir. And at Joseph Roti, they do things in a pretty big, dense, extracted, but I want to say masculine, but still so classic. So classic. This is not modern extraction. It's just very almost masculine, muscular. You're not going to
Hmm.
taste a
Hmm.
wine from Joseph Roti and say, "Oh, this isn't powerful enough." If this isn't powerful enough, you're drinking the right grape. Um, I also am uh, here to tell you 18 great vintage. It's got 7 years on it. It's where you want to drink your Marcinelle. It's still got a couple great years ahead of it, but it's got wonderful development. It's got some, more tertiary kind of character, smell of leather, mushroom, smoky, dusty cherry. Raspberry, black cherries, boysenberries, hints of fig, minty. Absolutely. A little medium bodied with a minty opening. There is a little kiss of saltiness, briny kind of character. Think of how that would.
So Ian, what clone is this?
Hmm. I would I would not know where to start in Marcinay. I don't, in the
Okay,
region of Pomard,
just
they're going to use Pomard clone. Uh, I would not know. I would not know. And most of them don't tell you. And mo honestly, I don't know if most of them know because
really.
they
I mean,
planted.
the thing about clones in Côte de Nuit is that very often they don't even know what they have because a lot of it has been replanted here and there. So they often have the selection massal, which is a combination of different clones. I would guess this as being some of the big guys. So like 667, 777, maybe some 828.
Yeah, when you bring a variety into the United States, it's got to get registered with the government. They're going to tell you what the species is. In Burgundy, they take the best looking vine in the vineyard and propagate from that. It's called selection massal. It's like weaning out the weak and staying with the strong. And that's how vineyards get propagated.
So as strict as they are in their naming, they're not necessarily in clones.
Right. Yeah. No. But as long as it's Pinot Noir, you're fine. Here's a look at some of the land between the house and probably owned by the family. Thomas, this one's pretty earthy. How is your audience faring with this one?
It's I think it's really good. It's a little bit it stands out to me a little bit as a Burgundy, probably because of the fruit concentration in it. But it's quite nice. It's a bigger wine, and by the way, we have a 2-month-old here right now joining us as well. We hear he has a very fine palate.
A
The
little on the gums.
little on the gums, that's right, yeah. And so it surprises me, honestly. I'm going to use an unusual word for Burgundy, but it surprises me how big it is, actually.
That's
I like
fair.
it a lot. Yeah, it's a little bit here. Some of the people like it, some don't. But it's quite good.
Yeah, the House of Joseph Roti, they make some other wines, make some fantastic old vine, Gervais Chambray.
Yeah.
House has got a great reputation, but the reputation is that they're not leaving anything they're not leaving anything on they're not leaving any color or flavor behind. They're getting it all.
Yeah, they're taking it all.
Yeah, yeah. So
Definitely getting squeezing the grape to get it all. I don't know what's in the background here.
I do hear a lot in the background. It's not you. Suki in
It's
Japan.
Setsuko.
Yeah,
Setsuko.
yeah. Suzuko, you're somewhere in Japan speaking Japanese, and we heard you, and we love that. Keep doing what you're doing. I just muted you. All right, so we now examined the Marcinay, um, 2018. This is what to expect from this producer, from this place, and from a 7-year-old version. It's in really good spot. Domaine Bernard Moreau is our next victim, the antithesis of what we just had. We went from something super macho, made by Roti, made in Marcinay with very ripe, a lot of extraction. Now we're going to a place where that won't work. We're going to Volnay. The soils are different. You're going to get some real pretty elements, some thinner color. We do have a warm 17 vintage here, considered a very good vintage, but we've got Premier Cru elevated in quality. Volnay is back closer to those white wine areas. It rubs right up against Merceau. And a lot of Merceau producers make a Volnay, and a lot of Volnay producers make a Merceau. Domaine Bernard Moreau. Uh, see, it doesn't say when the house started. I think it's quite old, but he's been in charge of the family property since 1982. That's a pretty good stead. You're 23 or 43 years, 8 hectares. That's about 20 acres. Pretty steep. Great slope there.
So a question for Peter is this says sustainable versus Peter's interpretation of sustainable.
Peter's got a higher ebb. Sustainable is one level.
So
Peter,
yeah,
go for it.
can I take about half an hour now?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
probably
My
not
wife says,
for the
show
plate.
and show and tell.
Yeah, Peter's
yeah, but
famous
I mean,
for Cetos.
yeah, I'll do it real quick. One of the things that we got here in the United States is we have a certification around sustainability. So to be sustainable here and use the certification, you have to live up to about 400 or 500 different requirements. Those principles for sustainability are being rolled out in the rest of the world, but we're pretty much ahead of the game.
And to be fair to, you know, probably in Burgundy, they've been doing it in a way that is sustainable, means A, staying in business, and B, uh, doing things the way that's acceptable to the neighborhood, doing things that are acceptable to the health of the people that work at the winery. Um,
So
and
self-regulated.
pretty closely. And they do it with a different moral compass in Burgundy. Um, in the few times where and I say few because I'm sure there's more than just a few, but a few public shamings resulted in some pretty traumatic acts. One of the famous vintners in Burgundy was humiliated by his decisions, and he literally killed himself out of shame. And so, they take it pretty seriously over there. They know everybody knows everybody. Um, and they wouldn't want to do anything that would shame their family or their family name.
Or end their life.
Yeah. So here's a look at the label. Deep, full-bodied, focused, silky Pinot Noir varieties, very teeny little berries that you could probably put 2 clusters in your hand. 93 points. John Gilman, who's a Burgundy specialist in reviews. Aromatic constellation of cassis, sweet blackberries, bitter chocolate, a complex base of soil tones, game bird, and smoky top note. On the palate, the wine is deep, full-bodied, focused, and sappy at the core, with excellent soil signature, fine focus and grip, silky tannins, and a long, beautiful balance that is still quite primary. Um, all needs time to blossom. I'm sure that review was written somewhere in and around 2018, 19. The wine was probably released in 19. It's a look down from those steep hills down onto Volnay. We're at $120 at the Premier Cru level. Clos de Chênes is the name of the Premier Cru. It's a clos, meaning walled-in vineyard. The nose is beautiful, so refined. I'd say today, I'm smelling a little bit more of the red fruits personally, cranberry, red cherry. Definitely some brown spices.
Hey, Ian, the consensus here is this is fantastic. By the way, classic. What I would expect. I mean, even better. There's so much depth, so much going on here. 2017 feels to me like it still has years to peak. What do you think? You know more than I do.
Yeah, no, 100%, especially at the Premier Cru level. But that it's kind of like 8 years is when it says, okay, now you can start to peak. If you drank this wine before today, it was probably too young. 8 year number for Premier Cruise is really where I see them start to unlock and show a little advancement. And this is I've had uh this wine. I bought a pretty heavy dose of it. We're down probably less than 12 bottles now, and it's just starting to enter into its best days ahead. I'd say for the next 10 years, it'll continue to slowly open up, and I think by 2035 it'll probably hit its it'll probably hang in there for and not get better anymore, but kind of be in a nice mature spot. These wines have a long aging arc, and the Clos de Chênes is the maybe top two vineyards in Volnay, and there's some really significant wines that are made in this particular vineyard, and this house, Bramoro, is a top name in Volnay as well. And probably,
It's a
honestly,
great example. Yeah,
yeah.
no.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Peter.
I was just going to say it's a great example of how Burgundy can develop so nicely. I mean, you think about its age, it still has a lot of youth to it. What I love about it is that, typically in Côte de Beaune, you don't think as much about Pinot Noir as you do in Côte de Nuit, but this has just got this wonderful, I like to think about spiciness coming out of Côte de Beaune in their Pinot Noirs. We are totally excited about it here.
Yeah, and what to Peter's point, when we look back at the map, if you're up here, here's that Marcinay and Gevrey Saint-Martin and all that stuff. Um, Vougeot, Von Romanée, these are big, butch, masculine Pinot Noirs. Down here in the Côte de Beaune, where you find Volnay and the white wines, as Peter said, it's a little bit more about elegance and finesse, uh, and kind of, may I dare to say, kind of a feminine prettiness to them. And then there's a spectrum inside of that too. And Bernard's a little bit more punctuated than some. Um, and so this has got some a little bit of hedonistic love inside of this Volnay. Some of them are pretty lean and pretty light in color, and that's not wrong. It's just this different style, different idea. And this one's got a little bit more going on, but really represents Volnay in a beautiful way. And I think it's a perfect example for our discussion tonight. We'll get into our sixth and final. And I finished with a wine that I have used a number of times as the extreme examples in Burgundy. This is from Francois Lump. This is a 2020 Vigne Rouge. It's from Givry. No, Givry with Giv. Givry, not Gevry. Givry is a little different. It's down here near Rouy, Mercury, Givry, in the Chalonnais. Okay, it's not up here, Gevry, Chambertin. It's Givry, and it's down here. And this is a little harder working area, and the producers kind of have to prove themselves. And Francois Lump is also part of the Kermit Lynch. We'll double check that. I think that's true. Yeah, imported by Kermit. They have incredible property, their farming practices, and their style just all aligned to make something very special. I think this is where Burgundy crosses over into maybe a potential for showing people a ripeness level that you don't always see in Burgundy. There's also, look at the color on this wine. There's a power and a punctuation in Givry from this producer. And I'm gonna say this is a producer thing. This is not a Givry thing. This is a lump. And we all, some people just, in the wine game, the business, we look at lump and say, "Oh, lump. We know what we're gonna get. We're gonna get something punctuated, personality, plump, powerful, the P's. That's why there's two P's in the name, lump. Blood orange. Look at that guy. Does that guy look like he is afraid? He's going, he's going to push it. And 18 months of élevage takes his time producing these beautiful wines. These wines sell kind of in a streaky way. I won't sell a lot of it, and then all of a sudden somebody comes in and buys 24 bottles because they had it somewhere and they fell in love with it. They had it at a top restaurant. It's Burgundy that performs at a great price and delivers something with a pound of flesh. There's some real character here. Let's spend a second on it and get your opinions. I don't know if we lost Tom. Are you still there, Tom?
Still here. Still here.
How's your group think about this?
They're kind of disappearing as they're putting the 2-month-old to bed, but just got a very nice exclamation from my son Nico here
Yeah,
on
really
this.
good.
It's good. It's good. It does have a lot of stuffing to it. I think the Volnay is more classic, if you will.
Yeah.
But what a great price, what a great wine. I'll just tell a little story if I could, Ian, if you could.
Yeah, got it.
Once upon a time, did you ever know Becky Wasserman?
Yes.
Any chance? Yeah.
And
So
friends with her kids.
Is that right? Yeah. So Becky was a friend of a friend, and I happened to be in France for business. My boss and I decided to spend the weekend in Beaune. I ended up having lunch with her and so on, and then she invited us over to her farmhouse for dinner. Made a beautiful dinner, and we drank a lot of wine that night. And she gave me a magnum of Givry to I'd never heard of Givry before, but I brought that. You could carry wine back easily back in those days, and so that was my introduction to Givry was through Becky Wasserman. But
Yeah.
I always thought it was good, and as you say, kind of underrated. Depends a lot on the producer. From that standpoint, this is very nice. Love it a lot.
That's a cool story, and she's such a great statesman for Burgundy, American that dedicated her life early on, way back when, to becoming kind of a statesman for the product to the United States. And her kids are kind of taking her reins and continuing the business and doing different things. And
Yeah,
so, yeah, very cool.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
how did you get connected to her back then?
Just
Was
a friend of a friend. She a guy by the name of Paul Moser, who's used to be a winemaker up in Napa Valley. He retired from it. Knew her. He had done some work in France himself. Got to know her, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to be there." I wrote her a note, and she was kind enough to say, "Hey, let's meet for lunch at so and so place." It was fantastic, and she ended up paying for lunch. It was a really nice lunch. I mean, you could imagine in a nice restaurant in Bone with somebody who really knows their wines, ordering from the wine list. It was spectacular,
how
and
cool.
yeah, it was very cool. I heard she passed away last year, which is sad to hear, but it was quite an experience to have had.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
Ian,
Sir.
this is one of the darkest Pinots I've come across in a long time. I
Thank you,
mean,
thank you for calling it what it is, Richard. It is. It's punctuated, like I said. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, this is
very, very highly extracted.
it is.
A little unusual for a French Pinot, I would say.
I think there's a lot about this wine that is standoutish. And this is what you're going to get from Francois Lump. You're not going to pay for his wine expecting it to be anything different. And uh, that's I don't care what vintage, but 2020 was an extremely ripe year, and it played into his hands. And you get a lot of wine for the price. That's maybe it's for some. This might even be more like a New World wine. But I think this is even dark for a New World wine. I mean, this thing is just crazy in color. Um, but you can
Any
imagine.
chance that there's something other than
Yeah, maybe there's some Syrah there, Peter. What do you think?
maybe a little Gamay?
Yeah, no, no, they wouldn't do that.
They wouldn't. They wouldn't get away with it, and it's uh, it's just a personality of this producer, and the kind of a testament to the way he's growing the fruit. Because while it's dark, it's not bitter. It's not. It's There's a lot of flavor here, and I think it has a fruitiness that few in Burgundy aspire to achieve, but I think it just represents a really, a big personality. And these wines are adored, and you can find them on some great wine lists. And when you're, at a restaurant and you want to stay on a particular budget, this is just a wine that makes everybody happy with great cuisine. And I you could, I mean, this and lamb would be amazing. Beef bourguignon, incredible.
Hey, Ian, a question about weather. So, as you go from Côte de Beaune down to Côte Chalonnaise and down to Macon, it does get a little warmer, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and so you had a warm vintage already with 2020, and then in a warmer zone, and a producer who likes to go there. So this is the all 1 + 1 + 1. You got three here, and they're all working in alignment. So you got something pretty inky and concentrated. And I think this wine will be interesting to see over time. I mean, it's still very fruit forward, 5 years in, and I don't even smell a hint of the minerality really popping through yet. I think this wine will be really pretty interesting in a few more years. Um, and it's fun to have a spectrum of flavors like we had tonight, going different price points and seeing how different different areas of Burgundy can be. Um, I carry probably 50 different Burgundy, about half and half white and red in the store. Maybe a few more than that, but probably pretty close. And um, I try to show diversity, and I try to show a range of price points. Burgundy can get very expensive in a hurry. Uh, and so finding things that represent value and also make people happy is kind of the job of a good wine store, I think. And being able to have something at this price point that delivers something like this is a pretty extreme value. Which takes me to my final commercial. A couple of trips on the future. We still have one spot for Napa in January, if anybody's interested in going with me. Um, we have our trip to Oregon in February, which I'm very focused on now. Sardinia, we couldn't pull Sardinia off. I had to let that go because all the hotels that we wanted to go to got filled and they took my blocks away. And that's what happens sometimes. So it's in April. April's a busy month in Europe. And if you don't have a group ready to go, you're probably not going to pull it off. So Sardinia went away about a week ago. Um, but October, our focus on Champagne is coming, and it really is a Champagne trip. We'll be meeting up in Paris. We'll do a little Champagne storytelling in Paris with a little history and visiting a couple of great Champagne landmarks in Paris, and then head up to the Champagne region for about 4 days of greatness, and then come back to Paris. Some of you may stay on board and continue with us to London and Kent as an additional excursion. We also are about to announce our trip to New Zealand, which is really an incredible destination. And man, there's going to be so much in this trip. And we're going to make it worth your time to fly 36 hours to New Zealand. I'm continuing to produce some really special dinners, guys. I've got 3 spots left for my dinner with Aaron Pott. He's a great winemaker, born and raised in France, American family. His father was a journalist in Paris. Aaron got hooked up with some great French winemakers and got placed in Napa Valley eventually, made wine for some top houses in Bordeaux. And today he's one of the top 5 winemakers in Napa Valley. He's also a very good friend of mine, and he's going to be at my house with a Michelin star chef for a 5-course dinner with Chef Christophe Emmy, who is at Ortolan and at l'Orangerie. And I can tell you from experience, the best restaurant in LA is wherever Christoph is cooking that night. He does all of the mise en place himself, cooks all the meals himself, and they're beautiful plates with amazingly delicious food, and will pair greatly with his wines. Aaron's got a crazy lineup of wines. He always does. And he has so many projects, and that's what we're going to be showing off. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I hope that you'll check out the website. Consider joining the membership. It will pay for itself. The 10% discount, whether you do it slowly or you buy a big chunk of wine and get a big 10% deal off. That's how that will work best for you. Or you can just use it, for the Zooms, and it'll pay for itself over a year's period. We'll give you access to everything, and we'll give you that code. It'll go live on January 1st. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. And
Ian,
yeah,
Ian,
if you don't need accommodations for the Napa trip, can you do the trip just going to the wineries?
we have one spot, and we can do it any way that works for you. We'd love to have you. And yes, I did email you and tell you that. So check out your email. It might have gone to your spam, but we have another couple on the trip that has a house in Napa. What you want to do is come, not for the hotel. We're not going to be at the hotel very much.
Yeah.
We're going to be we are going to have legendary appointments. I can't even tell you some of the stuff that might happen because there's so many names involved that I don't want to disappoint anybody, but we're going to have lunch with 3 different legends. We're going to have, I mean, we're going to taste with Tor Kenward. We're going to taste with Aaron Pott. We're going to taste with Nigel Kinsman. We're going to have lunch with Nigel Kinsman. We're going to be at Cervantes, which is Andy Erickson. Don't promise Andy Erickson will be.
No. I'll email you and we'll talk some more. Thanks.
Yeah, check it out. So Napa is going to be a lot of fun. And of course, that weekend includes the French Laundry. And so get involved. If you ever wanted to eat at the French Laundry, this is the best way to do it, is with a group.
I've done it several times.
All right. Well, you probably wouldn't mind doing it again then, because it's so much fun.
Yep.
And yeah.
So if we sign up for the membership for 2026, can we get 10% for tonight? For some of the wines for tonight.
You probably got a code in your email for tonight. Anybody on the Zoom tonight, it's 10% off. And that's in that email. Yeah.
We'll do it.
But into next year, the discounting will end at the end of this year. Only members will get that discount.
Okay.
One other feedback, and really looking forward to the blind tastings with the Brunella and the Barolos. And I personally would think just doing other tastings blind adds a little extra for fun.
I used to do it more, and so I will keep that in mind for the future.
Yeah.
I sometimes like to even send a little bonus something out with a blind wine in it just for topicality. So I'll keep that in mind and try to make that happen a little bit more for us all.
Very enjoyable. Thanks.
Thanks, Richard.
Happy Thanksgiving, Ian. Thank you very much. We enjoyed it.
You guys. Thank
Okay,
you.
cheers.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Thank
bye.
you so much, Ian. That was a great show. We appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, and into Japan, Satsuko. Always great to see your name on the Zoom. Brian, thanks for joining us tonight. Hope you had a good time.
I did. It was just I was off by a day, but it worked out.
Oh, cool. Did you think it was yesterday?
I did.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm hopefully you didn't drink all the wine yesterday.
Well, I ordered a second pack.
Very good, sir. Well, you take care.